Terrible handwriting.
Referee Rocky Zolarchuk, the third man in the ring tonight. One of my favorite referees here in Ontario, if not my favorite.
Good to see him back too. I think he was away for a little while.
Absolutely, I know he took a little leave there. I'm not sure why, but he's one of the best we got in this province, so good to have him back.
Final embraces for Team Smither. Here we go, round number 1 underway. Christian Tomás Renteria taking on hometowner Mark Smither. Smither in the red and white, Renteria in the black and white. As I mentioned earlier, Smither 102 amateur fights.
Great technical boxer, uses his reach very well, and you see her already pumping that javelin and a couple of clean ones here early.
Smither with nice quick hands. Renteria bringing it. There's always a risk, Steve, when you get these last-minute Mexican fighters coming in. You know,
there's always a risk when you fight any Mexican, but especially these last-minute guys, you know they're going to go for broke and they're wild and they throw awkward punches that you're not expecting. But Mark's just got to keep doing what he's doing, boxing well, using his distance.
It's especially tricky when you don't necessarily know anything other than the BoxRec record right there. Sometimes there's pro fights that aren't even on there. There's obviously his amateur record where he's had 63 fights. Nice body shot from Mark Smither against the ropes. But don't let the 2-4-1 record on Christian Tomás Renteria trick you out too much here.
Beautiful jab, beautiful ring generalship by Mark Smither.
Mark Smither, the fighting pride of Barrie, Ontario. You know, he still wants to bring a fight up there, a big event to, that's about 2 hours north, an hour and a half north of Toronto, right?
Absolutely, I used to fight up in that area, Casino Rama.
Smither nicely composed, trying to land that uppercut between the guard. Renteria, relentless. He called himself a brawler, but a technical brawler. So far, he's bringing the fight to Smither, which is nice to see here, especially after last fight.
Beautiful time, 1-2 by Mark Smither. He timed Renteria coming in here with a beautiful right hand, but credit to Renteria, he just keeps coming forward.
Renteria swinging a little wildly now. You could tell he was buzzed. Excellent right hand from Mark Smither on the inside. I like that short right hand.
He caught him coming in. He uses his reach very, very well, Mark Smither. It's something I've really admired from him from when we first watched him fight. He uses his reach well, and for a guy with long arms like that, it's going to benefit him moving forward.
Now, Steve, when I was talking to Mark earlier this week, asked him about his last fight against Fernando Bravo. It was a really good fight, another unanimous decision win. He said he felt like he did a good job, but he could have gone for the KO. And that one Stephen Molitor told him that he needs to start to the body early next time, and he said he really took that advice to heart.
Absolutely, especially against these tough, durable guys, and you have 12 minutes, 15 minutes. You got to invest the time early in the body, keep these guys guessing where you're going to punch them, and hopefully catch them upstairs. But if not, at least invest the money, invest the body work to make it easy down the line.
See Josh O'Reilly ringside. Josh O'Reilly, main sparring partner with Mark Smither now for the last 3 fights. Known each other for a long time. Josh looking for a big fight of his own. He should be back in the ring in May.
Very, very good prospect. One of my favorite fighters here in Ontario. Very good technically. Fighted to lighter weights, and just a very good classic boxer.
Here we go, round number 2. About to start. Mark Smither from Barrie, Ontario in the red and white. Oscar Renteria in the black and white. I'm a fan of Renteria's style, to be honest. I like what he's bringing.
I am too, but I think that Smithers has a great opportunity to get the knockout that he's looking for, because Renteria is coming forward, his chin's in the air. Mark Smither has lots of opportunity to counter him, and he's done so already here in the first 2 rounds.
Listening to his corner nicely, asking him to stick that jab. I agree, Steve. I think of all the fighters that Mark Smithers fought so far, this gives him the best opportunity to really capitalize on one of those looping wide shots.
A shorter guy who's coming forward, his chin's in the air. He wants to go to war, live by the sword, die by the sword.
I talked about Renteria's amateur record, 61-2. He actually made it to the finals of the Golden Gloves in Mexico. Unfortunately had to leave due to a family emergency, but who knows what that could do for a young Mexican fighter if he would have won that.
Oh, and a beautiful right hand timed by Mark Smither.
Smithers said over the last 2 camps, this one especially, after talking to you, has been really focusing in the gym on getting inside and working the body. I would like to see a little bit more of that, although I'd assume it's a little bit tougher against a shorter fighter.
It is a little bit tougher, but Mark Smither's got a very long reach. He's got to find his range and learn how to reach around those elbows with those long arms of his. But he's boxing beautifully. Again, I'm a big fan of Mark Smither. Uses that jab, uses his distance very well. Great counter puncher and a great boxer.
Mark Smithers slowly making his way down to 140. This fight was at 143, the last one at 145. Great shots catching Renteria on the way in, and that's exactly what he needs to capitalize on, Steve.
Great counter shots from Mark Smither. Beautiful counter shots, actually. Hats off to Renteria, because these are good, clean counter shots, and he just keeps coming forward.
And he's definitely giving it his all on each one of those shots. Another good round for marvelous Mark Smither here at the CAA Center in Brampton.
Beautiful round of boxing, but like you touched base on earlier, Jason, I would still like him to reach around those elbows with those left hooks to the liver, or throw that straight right hand down using his reach to catch him. Beautiful jabs early from Smither.
Round number 3 underway here. It's been a nice action scrap. Always good to have a dance partner that wants to tango like Renteria does here.
This is the perfect opponent that Mark Smither that he wants if he wants to go for the knockout. A young guy who's coming shorter, chin in the air. It'll just be a matter of time for Mark catches him coming in.
Smither is pumping that jab very nicely here at the start of round number 3. I'd like to see him follow it up with another punch. That said, especially once he does a double or triple jab, let's see him come back with a right.
The biggest one-punch knockout artist as we've seen in his first 3 fights. It's going to be the accumulation, the body shots, the timing of his shots, because he's such a good, clean counter puncher. It's going to be the timing that puts these guys to sleep, not the power coming from Mark Smither.
Smither also has a very nice defense. He catches a lot of shots. He's got good movement, a good judging of distance as well. So far, so good.
Oh,
nice two-punch combination lands against the ropes. Renteria still fighting back. Pace has slowed a little bit here in round number 3.
it has, and I'd like to see, again, like I said earlier, I'd like to see Mark Smither volume. It's not the one punch that's going to take this guy out. I know he's loading up. It's not going to be one punch. It's going to be a volume of punches, body, head, that take a tough guy like Renteria out.
Smither looking extremely comfortable in there. Seems to be enjoying himself right now, getting into his rhythm.
Absolutely, he's boxing beautifully in there. Very, very good, especially against a tough opponent like this who keeps coming forward. He's pumping that jab, countering with those overhand rights over Renteria's lazy jab.
Big right hand landed for Renteria right on the chin of Mark Smither. Slowed him down a little bit there. That was a great shot. You can hear his corner, Jonathan Martin, telling him not to stand in front. You don't need to. You can outbox this guy.
And Renteria knew he hit Smither with a good right hand. He's tried for 3 or more since then. But Mark Smither, way too swift on his feet. And good body shots followed by a left hook to the head. That's the sort of combination that will really break Renteria down and get the TKO stoppage that Mark Smither's looking for. Upstairs, downstairs. You see a lot of these young fighters today who just attack the head or attack the body. It's the variations that are going to stop these guys.
Great scrap, and down goes Medina Rocky, calling it a slip.
You see the prideful Renteria shaking his head. No knockdown, no knockdown.
This is Renteria's second fight up here in Canada. He fought prospect Louis Jourdain in Quebec last time, and he loves it. You know, some of these guys, I always ask them, what does it feel like fighting in enemy territory? Sometimes they say, oh, you know, it's tough to be away, it's cold, whatever it might be. But he told me that when he thinks back to that first fight in Canada, he gets shivers every time because it was one of the greatest moments of his life, of his career, seeing everybody there, walking into the ring, having a good fight against Jourdain as well.
Renteria coming out strong.
He has not slowed down one bit from the opening bell. Nice counter shots from Mark Smither.
Again, it's the 3s and 4s that are hurting Renteria, and he doesn't like those as he continues to walk forward.
Much like Cody Kelly, Jay Alexander, who we'll be seeing shortly. Renteria owns his own boxing gym in Mexico. He says he's basically training every day, all day.
Like I said, when I was down there for training camp to Eric Morales, those guys run in the morning and spar at night, and they're absolute gym wars. So, you know, this guy may have a record of 2 and 4, but like I said earlier with some of these Mexicans, their records do not speak of who they are inside that ring.
Renteria starting to push the pace a little bit more here, backing Mark Smither up halfway through round number 3. Nice jabs. Every time he goes to that jab, he connects, disrupts his rhythm.
Mark Smither's got a beautiful jab. Reminds me of a Tommy Hearns. He's got a nice, long, beautiful jab.
Renteria going downstairs. I would still like to see Smither try and employ some of that body work he's been working on in the gym.
Great defense by Smither with a shoulder roll. looks very comfortable in there tonight compared to his first 3 fights.
Yeah.
Where I felt that he's up on his toes, boxing more like an amateur. Seems to kind of be dropping his shoulder, being a little bit more flat-footed, and looking a lot more professional here tonight than he has in his 3 previous fights.
There's that right to the body, listening to his coach. You know, he has a great team in Jack Ireland and Jonathan Martin, and I'm sure it makes a difference. Basically, at a certain point, it almost becomes a father figure when you've been training with these guys for that long, 13 years.
Wow. I feel like he's starting to wear Renteria down. Those body shots, the jabs, the clean counter shots are starting to wear him down.
Nice work once again from Mark Smither. 3 rounds in the bag. So Steve, aside from going to the body a little bit more, what adjustments are you giving to Mark Smither halfway through the fight right now?
Mark's not a guy who has a type of one-punch knockout power, and Renteria is one tough dude. So it's not going to be the one punch that Mark Smither catches him with as a counter. It's going to be volume that will put him down or get Mark Smither the TKO victory that he's looking for. He's got to double that jab up, right hand, hook, body. Again, volume over one punch would be the big difference.
Well, you were saying before, it's the 3s and 4s that are hurting him.
Absolutely, and the 3s or 4s he can't handle. Renteria is good to take 1 or 2 shots. He's a tough dude. It's the 3rd and 4th that are implementing a lot of damage on him.
The bell rings for the start of round number 5 of 6 here at the CAA Center in Brampton, Ontario, where Mark Smither in the red and white is taking on Tomás Renteria in the black and white. And Steve, it's been a great scrap here so far. Renteria really hasn't relented for 1 minute of the first 3 rounds.
He hasn't, and even though Mark's had some tough opponents his first 3 fights, I think he's going to really appreciate this and look back when he's in a further point of his career and say, I'm glad I had these tough fights. It made me grow into a fighter instead of blowing someone out. And this is another example of his first 3 fights. Good quality rounds, the tough, awkward guy. It's only going to make Mark Smither a better fighter. He should not be disappointed if he goes the distance tonight, because this is stuff. Oh, and a beautiful right hand. Very smooth and relaxed. Again, hopefully Mark can see this and look back on how comfortable he is compared to his first 3 fights, where he's very amateurish, up on his toes, bouncing. He looks like a seasoned veteran in there in only his 4th pro fight.
Could not agree more. Some of these moves he's doing right now are comfortable pro veteran moves, and he's looking very good with it.
Even holding Renteria's head out there with this jab and placing the right hand.
Renteria, to his credit, still coming forward, still trying to push the action. Smither happy to kind of sit back on his back foot and take him as he comes in.
Halfway through round number 5. And
Great
a beautiful
hook.
overhand right in, another one.
Now Smither letting his hands go here. Renteria very tough.
Beautiful boxing by Mark Smither. Just absolutely beautiful boxing. Popping that jab, slipping those shots. But if he looks back on this, I hope he can understand when he's got Renteria chasing like that, that's the perfect time to catch him with a body shot. Renteria is running towards him, catch him with that body shot, and stop him in his tracks. He's taking the head shots all day.
Smither. That was a
Beautiful
spectacular
left
hook
to the body,
followed up by a right hook upstairs. That's the kind of work I like to see from marvelous Mark Smither.
That was a beautiful left hook to the body. But can you just imagine if he ripped another one to the other side? He'll learn to grow, and he can look back and capitalize on these small areas. And a beautiful 1-2 backing up from Mark Smither. For me, this is his best performance of his first pro fights. He's boxing beautifully. Hats off to Jack Ireland and his team. Mark Smither looks very good tonight.
That may have been his best round of the fight so far.
Absolutely. So relaxed, shoulder rolls, good body shots, good counters to the head.
Heading into the 6th round, it's not unfamiliar territory for Mark Smither. He's gone 6 already before. It looks as though his conditioning is very good. Doesn't look to be slowing down here throughout this fight, and this has been fought at a very high pace.
I was about to say, and that says a lot about him and his team and his preparation for this fight, because Renteria has been doing nothing but coming forward from the opening bell, and Mark Smither has been throwing his hardest shots, 3s and 4s, head and body, and he still looks fresh here in the 6th and final round. So hats off to Mark Smither and his team.
Mark Smither has very clearly defined goals for the year 2020, and that is to win a Canadian belt. He said that's been his dream since he was a kid. Great work here, catching Renteria as he's coming in. I like the way he fights backing up, Steve.
Beautiful, nice, crisp, long shots on the counter there, but I can just not believe the chin of Christian Renteria. Because those were good, clean counter shots.
Steve, there were times in your career, like you had mentioned, that excellent work. Again, catching him on the way in. This may be a nice little niche for Mark Smither that he can continue working on throughout his career, fighting backing up, because he's doing beautiful work, and that's not easy to do.
Absolutely, and especially if you fight these guys in the mid to lower weight classes, these Southern American guys, they'll come forward all day. It don't matter, they'll come forward. So for a guy like Mark Smither who can fight off the back foot, fight backing up, he's gonna have a very bright future as long as he learns how to keep doing that and work the body and use some angles.
Showing some beautiful boxing skills here in round number 6. We're just about halfway through the final round. It's been a frenetic pace from the opening bell, but clearly dominated by Mark Smither throughout.
A beautiful performance. She's gonna look back on this. I look at this as his best performance to date against a tough guy coming forward. Work the head, work the body, jab, box backing up. Very good performance here from Mark Smither, and he has a very bright future.
He's also one of the nicest guys in the sport. He's a bartender up in Barrie, very popular, sells a lot of tickets. He's got a bright future.
You know, it's a good boxing match when you don't hear too much from the referee, so hats off to Rocky Zolnichuk. These guys have been banging out, going toe-to-toe. We've barely heard or seen Rocky tonight, so hats off to Rocky Zolnichuk here tonight.
Another nice jab lands for Mark Smither, mixing up his punches very nicely, keeping Renteria at distance. Beautiful work here with 42 seconds to go. Will Mark Smither be able to get his long-awaited first stoppage victory of his pro career? Nice clean punches landing once again. Mark Smither looking fresh as ever.
Bouncing on the toes, popping that jab. Total control of the ring. He had control of every second of this fight. So
I like how he's walking him up to the ropes and working, and that's the kind of work we need to see.
What a fight.
Great performance by Mark Smither. Steve, I'm sure, as you very well know in your own career, it can be frustrating not getting that knockout that you're looking for. But as you mentioned, getting these rounds in are so important, and I'm happy to see him not try to get desperate for that stoppage.
Absolutely. He's still stuck to his game plan. He still is boxing, working behind that jab, and it does get frustrating, especially when you see other provincial guys getting knockouts. But believe me when I tell you, this is the best thing for Mark Smither and the growth of his career to become a world champion. They're doing a great job matching him to get him the experience he needs. So hopefully he doesn't try to look for easier opponents or guys who'll come here and lay down. This is the type of opponent he needs to become a world champion.
Tyler Buxton of United Promotions, Mark Smither's promoter, looking pretty happy with that performance. Of course, he'd like to get that first knockout notched as well. But again, just beautiful work in a dominating performance by Mark Smither. I don't think there's really any drama here when the scorecards will be read by Patrick Lono. Let's throw it up to him in the ring.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 6 rounds of action, we go to the judges' scorecards for the decision. All 3 judges scored about 60-54 for the winner by unanimous decision, Mark Smither!
A whitewash 6-round unanimous decision victory for marvelous Mark Smither. He is now 4-0 as a pro. Really showing some great improvements here in his young career. I absolutely loved what I saw out of marvelous Mark here in this fight tonight at the CAA Center. Next up, we have what I think may very well be the fight of the night. I think it's the matchup